Hey everyone! Today we're diving into one of the most iconic and diverse genres in anime, mecha. When we hear that word, most of us immediately imagine giant robots, massive battles, and heroes piloting these machines to protect humanity or their loved ones. But mecha is much more than just flashy fights with big robots. It's a genre that blends large-scale wars with deeply personal dramas, advanced technology with philosophy, and action with subtle human stories. The best mecha shows always give us something beyond battles, whether it's political intrigue, psychological struggles, or even romance under pressure. So today, I'll be sharing my top 10 mecha anime of all time. This list includes legendary classics that shaped the genre as well as more modern series that prove mecha can be many things: thrilling, romantic, tragic, comedic, or even terrifying. I'll talk about the plots without spoilers, dive into the atmosphere, characters, and themes, and explain why each title earned its place here. Maybe you'll discover something new for your watchlist. Let's kick it off with the anime that changed everything for the genre. Evangelion isn't just anime, it's a cultural phenomenon. Released in 1995, it shocked audiences and reshaped mecha forever. On the surface, it looks like a story about teenagers piloting giant robots to fight mysterious beings called angels. But very quickly, it becomes clear this isn't your typical action series. The protagonist, Shinji Ikari, is forced to pilot an Evangelion even though he doesn't want to. Alongside him are Rei Ayanami, the quiet and mysterious girl, and Asuka Langley, fiery and confident. These aren't simple archetypes. They're deeply complex characters with psychological struggles of fear, loneliness, the desire for acceptance. Evangelion turned mecha into something more than a genre. It asks questions about human existence, identity, and the fear of rejection. Each battle isn't just a fight, it's a metaphor, an emotional test, and a piece of psychological storytelling. And then there's the visual side. The angels are designed in ways that feel bizarre and alien. Battles aren't just about brute strength, they're about strategy, survival, and sometimes sheer desperation. Add in Shiro's Sagittarius' unforgettable soundtrack, and of course, the legendary opening and Cruel Angel's Thesis, and you've got one of the most impactful series of all time. Why is Evangelion on this list? Because it redefined the genre. Without it, countless other anime wouldn't exist in the form we know them today. If you haven't watched it yet, this is essential. Evangelion is psychological, then Code Geass is political. At its heart, it's less about robots and more about strategy, revolution, and morality. The story follows Lelouch Lamperouche, a seemingly ordinary student who is actually the exiled Prince of Britannia, an empire that conquered Japan. After gaining the mysterious power of Geass, the ability to command anyone to do whatever, he says Lelouch decides to destroy the empire and create a new world. Mecha called Nightmare frames play a big role in the battles, but the real thrill comes from Lelouch's tactics. He's not the strongest, but he's the smartest, turning battles into chess matches full of deception, manipulation, and last-minute twists. But Code Geass isn't just strategy porn. It's about morality. Lelouch is both a hero and an anti-hero, using brutal methods to reach noble goals. His relationship with his sister Nunli and rival Suzaku adds layers of conflict and emotion. Code Geass also thrives on unpredictability. Just when you think you know where the story is headed, it throws a shocking twist. Combined with sharp animation and a powerful score, it keeps you hooked to the very end. Why is it here? Because it proves mecha isn't just about flashy fights, it can also deliver grand-scale intrigue, political drama, and characters who blur the lines between good and evil. No mecha list is complete without Gundam, the foundation of the real robot genre. The first series debuted in 1979 and transformed how anime portrayed giant robots. Before Gundam, robots were often treated as superhero figures. But Gundam made them realistic, machines of war piloted by ordinary humans. The original mobile Suit Gundam follows Amuro Ray, a young boy forced to pilot the legendary RX-78-2 Gundam not because he's chosen or special, but simply because circumstances push him into war. This humanizes the story. Gundam isn't about invincible heroes, but about people struggling with the trauma and complexity of conflict. The core theme of Gundam is that war is never black and white. The Earth Federation and the Principality of Zon both have justifications, both commit atrocities, and both produce heroes. It shows the grey morality of war long before that became common in anime. Over the decades, Gundam has expanded into countless series, movies, and spin-offs. Classics like Zeta Gundam pushed the story further, while modern entries like Iron-Blooded Orphans brought fresh audiences to the franchise. Despite stylistic differences, they all stick to the core: mecha as tools of war, not magic. Why is Gundam in the top 10? Because it laid the groundwork for the entire genre. Even if you've never seen it, you've seen its influence in anime, video games, and science fiction at large. Gundam is the DNA of mecha. If the previous titles focused on heavy psychology and politics, Gurren Lagann is pure energy and over-the-top inspiration. Released in 2007 by Studio Gainax, it quickly became legendary for its wild style and unforgettable characters. It starts in a small underground village where people have never seen the sky. Sanin, a timid boy, and his older brother figure, Kamina, dream of reaching the surface. When they find a small robot Lagann and meet the sharp Yoko, they break through to the outside world. That moment sparks an adventure that grows bigger and bigger with every episode. What begins as a rebellion against oppressive rulers turns into something far larger. The scale of the battles keeps escalating until the story literally becomes a fight for the universe itself. And yet, the emotional weight never disappears. At the heart of Gurren Lagann are its characters. Kamina is a force of nature, brash, fearless, the embodiment of believing in yourself. Simon, starting as insecure and shy, grows under Kamina's influence into a true leader. Their relationship is one of the most powerful mentor-student arcs in anime. Yoko adds both strength and maturity, and as the cast expands, each new face adds depth. The animation is explosive. Battles are surreal, defying physics but overflowing with style. Gurren Lagann's mantra is simple: don't think about limits, break them. That sense of limitless possibility defines the series. And of course, the music. Sorora Days became an anthem for fans, while the dramatic score makes every battle feel like the most important fight in existence. Why is it here? Because Gurren Lagann is a love letter to courage, passion, and never giving up. It's the kind of anime that leaves you ready to take on the world. Now let's shift gears to something softer and more emotional. Eureka 7, released in 2005 by Studio Bones, is a mecha anime that blends romance, coming of age, and aerial battles into one unforgettable experience. The story follows Renton Thurston, a boy who dreams of adventure beyond his quiet hometown. His life changes when a massive robot crashes into his home, piloted by a mysterious girl named Eureka. Renton immediately falls for her and joins her rebel crew, the Geass State. At first glance, it's a classic boy meets girl, goes on an adventure setup. But Eureka 7 is deeper. It's about growth, love, and learning to understand others. Renton and Eureka's relationship is the emotional core, slowly developing from awkward beginnings into something powerful. The battles are as stylish as they are unique. In this world, mecha ride surfboard-like devices across atmospheric energy waves, giving combat a sense of speed and rhythm you won't see anywhere else. It feels fluid, exciting, and totally original. But more than that, Eureka 7 captures the spirit of youth. It's about chasing freedom, experiencing heartbreak, and learning who you are. The Geass State crew feel like a surrogate family, each member with their own quirks and struggles, shaping Renton and Eureka as they grow. The soundtrack adds another layer. With electronic beats and rock tracks, it nails the vibe of the mid-2000s and perfectly matches the show's themes of freedom and rebellion. Why is it on this list? Because it balances mecha action with humanity and heart. It's not just about fighting in giant robots, it's about finding yourself, falling in love, and learning what it means to truly live. Full Metal Panic is proof that mecha can be both serious and hilarious. Released in 2002, it blends high school comedy with military action in a way few shows ever have. Sasuke Sabara is a teenage soldier working for a secret anti-terrorist group. His mission is to protect Konim Chidori, a seemingly normal high school girl with hidden importance. To do so, Sasuke enrolls in her school and tries to blend in. The problem? He spent his entire life in war zones and has zero social skills. That setup creates endless comedy. Sasuke treats every classroom incident like a battlefield. He hides weapons in school lockers, sets traps in the hallways, and reacts to everyday misunderstandings like they're terrorist threats. His dead serious approach to normal life is hilarious. But when danger strikes, the tone shifts. Full Metal Panic delivers intense, realistic mecha battles with high stakes. The R-Baylist Sasuke's mech isn't a superpowered machine, it's treated like advanced but limited military tech. This realism makes every battle tense and tactical. The mix of comedy and drama works surprisingly well. Sasuke and Konam's relationship develops over time, balancing his soldier mindset with her warmth and humanity. Later seasons, like the second raid, lean even more into darker and more serious storytelling, proving the franchise's versatility. Why is it in the top 10? Because this show's mecha doesn't have to be all grim or all epic. It can be funny, heartfelt, and still deliver incredible action. If you want a show that makes you laugh one moment and clutch your seat the next, Full Metal Panic is perfect. Aldnoah.Zero is one of those shows that might not be perfect, but it's unforgettable. Released in 2014, it instantly stood out with stunning battles and a soundtrack by Hiroyuki Sawano, the same composer behind Attack on Titan. If you know his music, you already know the kind of raw energy he brings. The story centers on the conflict between Earth and Mars. Colonists who settled on Mars discovered ancient alien technology called Aldnoah, giving them massive military superiority. They built an empire, considered themselves superior to Earthlings, and eventually declared war. The odds are completely stacked against Earth. Mars mecha are practically invincible, while Earth relies on outdated tech. Enter Inaho Kaizika, a calm, brilliant high school student. Unlike typical hot-blooded protagonists, Inaho is quiet, logical, and methodical. His genius lies in finding ways to outsmart technologically superior opponents with nothing but tactics. Meanwhile, Princess Cecilin from Mars hopes for peace, adding a human layer to the story. Her bond with Inaho creates tension between war and reconciliation. The battles in Aldnoah.Zero are breathtaking. Every encounter feels like Earth's last stand, and the clever strategies keep you on the edge of your seat. And Sawano's music elevates everything. His signature mix of choir, rock, and electronic makes even a single punch feel monumental. Why is it in the top 10? Because Aldnoah.Zero shows how tense and tactical mecha can be. It's not about raw power, but brains versus overwhelming force. And even if its story sparked debates, the sheer intensity of its battles is unforgettable. Darling in a Front Roman 20 may be one of the most polarizing mecha anime in recent memory, but love it or hate it, it left a mark. Released in 2018, it combined flashy mecha action with heavy symbolism and a very central love story. The setting is a future where humanity is nearly extinct, threatened by mysterious monsters. Humanity's last hope lies in Front Roman 20, robots piloted in pairs of one boy and one girl. That very setup makes the relationships between pilots just as important as the battles themselves. At the heart of the story is Hiro, a boy who feels like a failure, and Zero 2, a mysterious pink-haired girl with both human and monster traits. She's feared and distrusted by others, but Hiro accepts her, and their partnership becomes the emotional core of the series. Yes, there are epic fights against monstrous enemies, but the real tension often comes from the kids themselves, their jealousy, their insecurities, their longing for love and understanding. It's mecha, but filtered through adolescence and romance. Zero 2 quickly became an anime icon, rebellious, alluring, vulnerable. Her dynamic with Hiro drives much of the show's emotional weight. And while the second half of the series stirred controversy, the first half alone is one of the most striking blends of romance and mecha. Why is it in this list? Because Darling in a Front Roman 20 dared to make a mixed story about love, intimacy, and connection just as much as it is about war. It's messy, emotional, and unique. Now let's dive into something darker, Knights of Sidonia. Released in 2014, this series is equal parts mecha, science fiction, and horror. The Earth has been destroyed by alien creatures called Gunna, and the remnants of humanity escape into space on massive colony ships. One of them is Sidonia, where the story takes place. The people aboard live in constant fear, the Gunna are relentless and terrifying, and a single mistake could mean humanity's end. The protagonist, Nagi Tanakaze, is a boy who grew up in the ship's underground tunnels, secretly training in old simulators. When he becomes a pilot of Sidonia's mecha, he's suddenly thrust into the desperate battle for survival. Knights of Sidonia stands out for its atmosphere. This isn't about flashy heroics, it's about humanity clinging to life. The Gunna are mysterious and grotesque, their designs alien and unnerving, creating a sense of cosmic horror. The society aboard Sidonia is equally fascinating. Humans have adapted to life in space, cloning, engineered food, and even genderless individuals. It's a vision of a future where survival changes what it means to be human. Visually, the show is fully CGI, which some viewers found unusual, but the style enhances the cold, eerie tone. The battles are intense, the tension is constant, and the sense of dread never fades. Why is it in the top 10? Because Knights of Sidonia merges mecha with survival horror and hard sci-fi. It's not just about machines, it's about humanity facing extinction in the void of space. If you want a chilling, unique take on mecha, this is it. Our final entry is the Biguru, an anime unlike any other in this list. Released at the end of the 1990s, it's remembered not just as a mecha show, but as a stylish blend of noir, mystery, and superhero storytelling. The setting is Paradigm City, a metropolis where all of humanity has lost its memory of the past. Nobody remembers what came before a certain event, they just live with the fragments of history they have. It's eerie, atmospheric, and full of secrets. The protagonist is Roger Smith, a SWAT negotiator who works somewhere between detective and private mediator. By his side is Dorothy Wainwright, an android who brings dry humor and unexpected humanity to the story. And when things get dangerous, Roger calls upon Bigger, his towering mech, to fight. The battles themselves aren't frequent, but when they happen, they feel massive. Bigger isn't sleek or fast like other anime robots, it's a lumbering colossus with each punch carrying weight. The fights feel like a throwback to old-school tokusatsu shows, where spectacle matters as much as force. But the real strength of the Bigger lies in its style. It feels like Batman, the animated series crossed with classic mecha. The dark cityscapes, the mysteries behind the loss of memory, the episodic detective cases, all of it creates a unique, moody vibe. Why is it in the top 10? Because the Big O proves mecha can be more than war or romance. It can be noir. It can be mystery. It can be atmosphere. If you want something offbeat, stylish, and unforgettable, this is it. So there you have it, 10 mecha anime that show just how wide this genre can be. From the psychological intensity of Evangelion to the political chessboard of Geass to the foundational realism of Gundam. From the explosive optimism of Gurren Lagann to the heartfelt romance of Eureka 7. From the comedic chaos of Full Metal Panic to the tactical survival of Aldnoah.Zero. From the messy, emotional ride of Darling in the Fran Roman 20 to the horror and sci-fi blend of Knights of Sidonia. And finally, the noir mystery of the Big O. What's clear is that mecha isn't just about giant robots. It's about the people inside them. Their struggles, their hopes, their conflicts, and their relationships. The mecha are a stage, the stories are about humanity. Of course, this list is just my take. There are plenty of other incredible mecha series out there, and I'd love to hear your favorites in the comments. Which mecha anime left the biggest impact on you? Which ones deserve more recognition? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you won't miss future deep dives into anime. Thanks for watching, and remember, no matter how big the fight ahead of you looks, there's always a reason to keep moving forward. See you in the next video.